Hi, and welcome to the Creating Value series powered by NEC. My name is Dylan Alcott, and I'm joined today by not only two of my mates, but two of the fastest men to ever run for Australia. We're going to see how they create value, talk about resilience, and also see if they can teach me how to run. Boys, Joseph Deng, Peter Bol, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Guys, so good to have you here. Now, we've known each other for a while, but you guys have known each other for a lot longer. Can you tell us how you boys first met?
It's been a while, eh? I think
what was it?
we're both from Toowoomba, so interestingly, when we first moved to Australia, so 2004. 2004 in Toowoomba. Families knew each other, but we didn't. I moved over to Perth in 2008. I think you and Brizzy?
Yeah, I moved to Ipswich in 2010.
Yeah, and then I decided to move to Melbourne for athletics, and I hit him up on the gram.
So were you not running then when Peter you up, or were you also doing athletics at the time?
I was running as well, so I think the first time we ever raced was in 2016 at the Hunter Track Classic in Newcastle. And then I came over and I met Justin and met with Pete, and then that's when I made the change. Said, yeah, may as well move down here.
Now, how important was sport growing up for you boys? Because I know I really struggled with my identity as a kid. You know, I'm obviously a minority group myself, have disability. You guys weren't born in Australia. What role did sport play for you when you were younger?
The main one is, I think sports is a universal language, so, I mean, English, not our first language, so, you know, playing football, I think we both played football pretty early, and, you know, that's pretty universal, communicate with students and whatnot. It was a lot easier than going to a science class and not understanding anything. You know, you can.
Mate, I didn't understand anything either, so don't worry about that.
You know, you can kick around with the boys, with the other kids, with the other students. So, sport played a massive role. It's basically all you did: play sports.
What about you, Joe?
Yeah, no, it was massive. I think that's how we started to talk English as well on the sports field. Like playing soccer, telling people to pass the ball. Yeah, played a massive role.
You touch on a big point there, because people say to me, what's the best part about my career? And it's the social aspect of sport. Because I never met anybody like me, and when I started playing wheelchair sports, I was like, yo, there are people like me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Did you kind of feel the same about how powerful it was to find that connection?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like the school I went to too, there was a lot of Sudanese kids there. So it was good to be around like other Sudanese guys, and then, you know, learn English and make friends. So sports, that's where we made friends with everyone else.
So, Pete, you said you played a lot of different sports as a kid. When did you pull the trigger that I was going to be running?
So I started running at the age of 17. Interestingly, I know it didn't show on the basketball courts.
Mate, nice.
I started running when I was 17 at school, and before that I was playing basketball. I went to school on a basketball scholarship, so that's what I was doing there, yeah.
And then you just said you straight away knew it was going to be running when you first got on the track, or were you like, this sucks, I like basketball better, and then fell into it?
No, I just figured, we got back to speaking about, I guess, sports being universal and learning English and stuff like that. I figured athletics was kind of the foundation to every sport. So if you got better at running, jumping and stuff like that, you'd play more game time.
Not the foundation of my sport. Overrated. I'm a big guy. I skip running session. Whenever running was on, I was like, I'm out here. I love that stuff, mate. That is good. That's good gear. Now, Joe, mate, in 2018, you broke the 800-metre Australian record. Now, how many years had it not been broken for? It was like
49.
49 years. I'm going to ask you first what it felt like to do it.
Yeah.
Like, can you remember, first and foremost, before the race, did you think it was going to be a big day when you got on that track, or did you kind of couldn't believe it after you finished it?
Leading up to that Monaco race, we knew it was going to be a massive race. Both Peter and I were there, so we knew one of us was going to break the record. And even our coach, Justin, he surprised us. He flew over to Monaco from Melbourne. And we didn't even know he was coming. We just saw him, the day before the race.
How do you know you were going to break the record? How did you both know? Did you have a feeling, or you were just both running so well that was going to be it?
We were both running so well, and you know Monaco is always fast. So if you get into that race, one of our training partners in 2014, he equaled the Australian record in Monaco.
Okay.
So Justin, he flew over, he said, I don't want to miss this chance, you know, because he had a feeling as well. He knew one of us was going to break the record. It just felt good. The weather was nice when we were warming up. Yeah, we just felt good. We were bouncy. We were ready to go. And
you were always bouncing, man. I don't think I've ever seen you not bouncing. So you were in the race as well, yeah, Pete?
I didn't feel that good.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I wasn't bouncing.
You glued to the floor.
I was a bit rusty that day. But I could see it. I could see it at the front. I could see the record was going to go.
So you're in the race, you're going, I'm not, because I mean, I've played tennis matches some days.
Yeah.
You just don't feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You weren't feeling that day, but could you see?
Yeah, I
Joe
could
take
see.
off?
I wasn't feeling it, but I could see I was at least running 146, and I was like, damn, this dude is so far in front. That's the record gone.
How did you feel for one of your best mates to be able to do that?
It was nice to be also in the same race, and because I mean, it was history, like 50 years. So it was like, man, it's finally done. Because I think it goes back to a few months before where we decided someone's going to break the Australian record. I don't care who it is, we're just going to break it and bring it back home. And that was the final race too, so it was pretty clutch. Like that was the end of the season, and it just happened to be in Monaco. It happened to be on a good day, and the boy was bouncing.
It was bouncy.
Yeah.
Not the worst place to have the last race of the season. Monaco. That's nice afterwards. Yeah. Now, we're talking about resilience today. We're talking about creating value. It's been a pretty hard couple of years, to be honest, obviously with the pandemic and things like that, especially as athletes. And as athletes, when we talk about it, because we were lucky because we were getting to go away and do our jobs. And I know the three of us are really grateful for that. But Joe, I'll start with you, man. How did you handle it? Because it was, you guys ended up having pretty different journeys throughout those 2 years.
Leading up into like 2020, we were actually in good shape. I think we were in the best shape of our lives. So we started off the year in Sydney. We both, Peter won the race 145.85. I ran 145.89. So it was a close race. But the pandemic hit, and then we took like 6 weeks off, and then started training again, and we headed over to Europe. Europe was so different. That was the first time, like, pandemic-wise and stuff. So we went over, we ran pretty well, but the Olympic qualifying period was shut down. So we both ran the Olympic standards in Europe in that year, but it didn't count because they said, nah, it's not going to count. But yeah, it is what it is.
So you ended up not coming over to Tokyo and competing.
Yeah, I didn't come over.
How did you feel, if you don't mind me asking?
I was over in Kenya for a while, and then I came back and I had COVID, and then just started running again. It was kind of difficult after that. And then I had some family stuff going on, so I decided to take the year off and just refresh my mind and just focus on this year and the Commonwealth Games.
I think it's a really important thing about what you talk about, because in able to create value and be the best version of you got to look after yourself sometimes, but also the people that you love as well. And I don't think people talk about that enough. We all just go full steam ahead, and even if you might have went, you might not have been able to perform then. Are you still proud of your decision to do that, to put yourself first and look after yourself and then focus on the next games?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I wasn't really enjoying myself. I wasn't enjoying the running, so there's no point of running if you're not enjoying it, because you're not going to compete well.
Good man. Yeah. I think also there's an element of, especially in sport, but also people's work lives.
Yeah.
How important is fun? Like when you have fun, you play well, yeah?
100%, yeah.
Yeah, people often don't think that. And speaking of having fun, Peter Bol, mate, you went to Tokyo, and I mean, it was incredible. We'll talk about obviously the race and how well you did, but what was your feelings when you first got there? Did you get a feeling like it was your time to do something special, or did you kind of ease your way through it?
Yeah, it's one of those things I think I felt that leading up to even going to Europe and before getting to Tokyo, I just felt in great shape, and not physically, but like mentally, I was like in just sharp shape, like I was just ready to go.
Why? Why were you in sharp shape?
I think just because you've done everything that you needed to do, and then on top of all of that, like sometimes you do everything you need to do and you still don't feel that way, but you believe it. And I was just like, man, I'm in shape, and if you put me in any track, I'll perform to my best, which should be enough to be on the top 8 in the world.
I go to the Paralympic Games, which is the main event. The Olympics is the warm-up event. I got to watch, right? Normally we go to a camp, but this year, because of the pandemic, we just waited for you to leave and then we came in. So I got to watch it all. Could you feel how much Australia was getting behind you when you were running? Because it was unbelievable. Yeah,
it was just unreal. Especially, your phone just blows up. Every single social platform, your phone's just buzzing. And then, your family sends you all these newspapers, front cover and all that stuff. And it's just unreal.
What did it mean to you? You're obviously from a diverse background. You were the most famous, highest profile sports person in this country at that moment. And it was great to see different faces on the front page to what you normally see.
Yeah.
Does that mean a lot to you?
Yeah, it like impact. It was like sports. It's more than performance. It's more than racing. It's like what can you do outside of it? And I think in that moment that explained everything else. Like just how many people got behind you. And the interesting thing, it wasn't just like the Sudanese community. It was like every single community, and it's just kind of behind it. And that was like, yep, that's what we do this for. It's cool.
That was the biggest difference. That no one cared. It was just like Peter Bol was kicking ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like first. It was just so good. I looked at it last night. You were the 5th highest rated program on TV in Australia last year, just behind the grand final. Your race. That's pretty cool.
That's unreal.
Yeah, I was like 7th. So, no. I was like 70th. Right? So I wasn't even close. Joe, what was it like watching? Because obviously you would have loved to be there, but no, you couldn't even go even as a supporter because of the pandemic. What was it like watching him rip it up?
No, it was awesome. So I actually did like a few interviews with like radios and stuff. So I woke up 6 a.m. that day. From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. I was doing interviews just for the race. So it was awesome because I was in Brisbane at the time too. Me, the boys, we just got together and we watched the final. It was so good.
Man, what was it like running out there? It felt, even though there wasn't that many fans, obviously, it felt electric. Can you explain the lead up to the race, but how you kept your mind in it? Because I think that's why you were able to perform so well.
Yeah, so I think the mentality I took there was like, and it's funny that you realize that after like 10 years in the sport or whatever. It's like, man, I'm still running 800 meters, whether it's in Tokyo, whether it's in Australia, whether it's in Europe. It's not going to be any different distance. You're just racing the same distance that you've already done. And it's just you against you. So when you get on that track and everyone's talking about there's no crowds, there's no fans, it's like, nah, I mean, I always joke like in Australia we've been practicing for that for ages.
Mate.
Because there's no
it was like wheelchair tennis, like Paralympic sport for 10 years. Like, there's no fans. We were like, that's what it normally was like, but now it's good, which is great. Yeah.
So it was a good advantage that way. Like, but then the interesting thing is, I think the final, we had all the Australians kind of come up, and that was like so powerful. You know, they came up with the signs and they watched, and they didn't have to. It was pretty cool to have those guys there. And because the stadium had no one, you could like hear everyone, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. And I think in that moment, like, it kind of is a moment that is kind of bigger than sport, which is so awesome. I think the best representation of that was your family watching it, like absolutely going off. And it resonated with, I think, a lot of people in Australia, just watching their family, but do something they love, but how much it meant to them. What was it like for you seeing that back? Did you see that back straight away or later on?
Oh, I saw it on the screen actually. They played it after my interview. And for me, it's like, man, that's so powerful. Like, because that's culture. Like, that happened 6 years ago when I was Rio. It's just there wasn't success, so no one got to see them on that platform. But for me, it was like, man, like, my family did that for like my little niece's birthday or something like that, and they're always having parties and stuff like that. It's like we can now bring our culture into Australia as well and like show it. Like, that's how we are, and it's pretty cool. Like, just seeing everyone jumping up and down, and it was lucky they're in Perth because they didn't have any lockdowns.
I was going to say, I was like, Joseph, what did it mean for you, man? I mean, because the culture, you're exactly right. The culture was what was talked about a lot, which is really powerful, I think. And that's something that I've always tried to do for my community, you know, amplify the voices of people with disability that you might not ever hear from. Yeah. What did it mean for you to watch that and I guess be a big part of that because you were the one on the microphone the next day?
Yeah, it meant a lot. Like, I was talking to Peter before the finals even. We were FaceTiming. And I just told him, go do what you got to do, you know? Yeah, it means a lot to the community. And it was so good to see him out there, you know, hopefully motivates some other younger Sudanese kids to come take up athletics. So, yeah, it meant a lot.
When you watch him and when you watch each other, like you broke the Aussie record 2018, you had the great result in Tokyo. How do you go about your relationship together? Like, do you ever get jealous? Do you wish it was you, or are you always fully supportive of each other? No, we're always supportive, you know, because we see what we do at training. So yeah, we're always supportive. Like, but then when we get on the racetrack, yeah, you just gotta win. Yeah, you gotta do whatever you gotta do to win. But we're always competitive anyway. So like when we're playing FIFA, we're always competitive. Like when we went to South Africa in 2019, he was beating me in FIFA. I broke the controller. I got mad. Yeah, so we're super competitive. Yeah, that's good. What about you, Pete? What do you reckon?
I guess our biggest strength is we can be super competitive, and then at the same time find value in like competing against each other because we know that's the best we can get out of ourselves. There's like 3 spots in Australia. It's like, why can't we be 2? And like definitely 2. And the only way we can do that is by pushing each other. And like, of course, someone's gonna lose, and no one wants to lose, and all that. But I think it's necessary. You know, that's where you like create hard performance. Like the 2 best guys racing against each other all the time, putting it on the line. And you know, put pride aside. He leads one race, I lead one race. Whoever wins, it doesn't really matter because we're entertaining the idea of becoming the best in the world, not just in the country.
It's so true. We have a lot of business people that watch this, right? And especially in business, I think a lot of people, when they want to get better, often don't open up to their co-workers because they're scared that they might lose their job or they're better than them or whatever. And that's the wrong way to go about it, isn't it? Have you found that actual healthy, competitive relationship, but also that friendship is one of the things that's pushed you to become not only such good athletes, but also good people as well?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thinking having a healthy relationship is always key anyway.
What about you, Pat?
Yeah, for sure. I think the goal is like of course, you know, Joseph wants to win, I want to win. We both want to be the best in the world. But I also think the key is you don't want to do it on your own. Besides training and stuff like that, we compete about 8 to 12 times a year, the 800 meters, and then we're overseas for about 3 months. It's like, what are you doing outside of that time you're not competing? And then we just hang out. We're both pretty relaxed. We go out. We're in Belgium. We're like, man, let's just go explore. Let's go meet the people. Let's go hang out with these people and stuff like that. Or while we're in South Africa, which is like we went on a random run and we could like see zebras, everything.
Serious?
Like, yeah.
Where was that?
Somewhere in South Africa.
Like these experiences are unreal. Like at South Africa doing that out in Johannesburg or something like that, or riding scooters down Brussels and whatnot, and night out, stuff like that. It's
Boston.
like, it's pretty cool.
And you're housemates now, correct?
Yeah.
So who is the dirty one? Who is the messy one? Who is it?
pretty clean.
No, the house is actually clean.
Really?
Yeah.
I was expecting there to be stuff everywhere.
No. But it's a small apartment. You can't really do much damage.
Yeah. I like that. So when one of you is having a bad day, obviously you live together, and whether it's in sport or your personal lives, how do you guys go about getting around each other? Do you think of yourselves as like family or your mates?
Now family, and we both know each other's family pretty well. Like, so every season, in the season, Joe's mum lives in Perth, my family lives in Perth. We'll go to Perth together at the end of the season and spend time with our families. So, but also I guess the understanding, like you give some people space too.
Yeah.
So like you just gotta understand maybe he's upset, but it's not against you. Like they're allowed to be upset. They can't be on a high 24/7. So just giving them space as well.
What about, obviously, you guys represent a lot of people because you're a minority in this country, you know what I mean? Same way that I do. And you know what? It can be a pain sometimes. Like, you get a bit of burnout and things like that. Have you faced that? Do you face that? Or do you actually, I guess, enjoy and understand the impact that you're having?
Yeah, we understand it because I think we've basically been in the spotlight for a while now. So like after that 2018 season, we were doing media stuff. That was like the peak of the Apex game and all that. So we came out and we spoke on that stuff too. So no, it was good to have like some Sudanese guys speaking out on what's happening in the community.
Do you find sometimes that you just want to talk about your running and not about everything else? Or do you actually understand and believe the impact that you can actually have, and hence why you dive into it?
I think so, and I think the most powerful thing is telling your own story and your own words and your own lens. And if you're an opportunity like ourselves to do that and you want to do it, you do it. And sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Sometimes you just want to run. Like, yeah. I mean, like I guess Joe spoke on that well about 2018 when there was so much going on. It's like, well, it's kind of unfair to get us to speak on that. That was kind of annoying. It's like, why don't we speak about his record in Monaco? Like, that's what he went and did. That's what he knows about. He wasn't even in Australia during that whole thing. And like, why, just because we're from the same background, we have to speak up on it? Like, sometimes we just want to run. Sometimes you just want to be yourself. And because the key is like, you run your best in when you just kind of relax and you don't have to worry about anything else. So take on only what you can at any certain given time.
Sometimes you just want to kick his ass in FIFA.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to play FIFA, yeah.
But sounds good.
Just hang out at a cafe down the road and stuff like that.
What's the ultimate goal? 1-2 at what's next? Paris? I'm retired
World
now.
champs.
World champs next. Yeah. So are you back full time now?
Yeah. I'm back full time.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Good, man.
Yeah. So
You're looking good, both of you.
Yeah.
You look fit ass. Although we just played some basketball before and I beat both of you. Which I enjoyed. Yeah. So what's the next on the horizon?
So we've got a race in, when is it? On
Box Hill?
Oh, next Tuesday.
The 8th.
Yeah, 1K. So that should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the ultimate goal is probably medals in
World champs.
World champs.
I think
Birmingham.
also the big goal is to be in the same team together. I don't think we've been in the same team together.
No, we haven't. We've
Like
never
international
represented
team.
Australia
No way.
together.
Yeah.
You who have I got to talk to? I'm Australian here. I can figure that out.
We'll give you your contacts after
I've got some influence now. You give me the I'll make that happen.
Let's go on right now.
One thing that I'm proud to be a friend about, first and foremost, is that the amount of value that you've created in a short period of time. Because since you became the public eye a couple of years ago, I mean, not only have you brought spotlight to your community, but you brought spotlight to your sport, which I love. Because athletics isn't one of the biggest sports in this country, but people are talking about it because of you two. I hope you feel that impact. But if you look in 10 years' time down the track, what do you want to look back and see in your career? Not results driven, but just how you want to be viewed.
Yeah, so I think the value you kind of created, on and off the track. On the track is like, I guess you can still inspire people from the Australian team. Like if you inspired them to man, I could actually go for gold and whatnot. And then the off track, I raced in Adelaide about 2 weeks ago, and it was the most packed stadium I've ever seen in Australia. And it was like Peter Bol, Ronan Browning, and people wanted to come and watch. And I was like, man, that's more crowd than we've ever had. And that's off the back of Tokyo. So if we can keep doing that and, get the sponsorships and stuff that athletics needs for more kids to be able to do, because athletics is pretty tough to be out on your own. Mm-hmm. So giving these kids more opportunities to kind of keep training, the facilities and all that stuff. If you can do that, then you'd be pretty happy.
Love it. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, just inspiring the younger community and just getting more people into athletics. That'll be awesome,
I love it.
Yeah.
I also love at the Australian Open the other week. I was sitting courtside commentating. I'm like, who are those two guys in like the $25,000 seat? Oh, hang on, it's you two. You were loving it, right? And we were waving at each other from the course. And I'm like, the boys have made it. The boys have made us. Well, so happy to see you there, guys. I feel like not only are we good mates, but we've been a part of the NEC family for a little while, and they are all about creating value, but it's a big privilege to be able to share this with you, because the more people that can amplify, I guess, your story, the better it is. Really appreciate you coming on, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.